meeting that here in a minute, once it starts, you're going to want to unmute your video, and this is a great time for you to talk. Have your audio unmuted. You don't have to all unmute at once, but don't be afraid once this gets going to start having some interaction with your teachers. We have an incredible lineup of people right now ready to teach you, give you all the knowledge that they possess in 1 hour, if that can be done. So it's I'm so excited that all these guys have decided to join us and giving us their time. We would love to have them all together in one place, but this is the next best thing. We'll take it. Sorry, I'm still admitting people here. There we go. Okay, so what we could all do right now is go into your, see if you can find where you rename yourself and put the name of the session that you signed up for. So acoustic guitar, electric guitar, piano, bass, drums, horns, or worship leader. See if you can click around and find that now, and then Andy will start putting you in the appropriate breakout rooms. So everybody go ahead and take a moment and do that. Rename yourself. You can keep your name. So I see someone just became worship leader. You can keep your name and then just put the name of your class after it. And that will tell us where you should go. If you can't figure out how to rename yourself, just let me know, and we will we'll get you placed.
Hey, Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes, who is this?
This
Shelby?
is Shelby. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm on my way home from work right now, and I can't really type or look at my phone as much. Can you put me in worship leader, please?
Yes, we will do that. So I'm sure Andy heard that.
I did.
Andy, I'm making you the host now.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
now, Andy, you're now letting people in and whatnot. So.
Okay. And how do I? Okay.
So you should see a breakout rooms tab down at the bottom, and you can get everybody divided up now.
Okay.
This will take us just a second to all get organized, so bear with us for just a moment.
Am I creating the breakout rooms?
No, they should already be created. Do you see them when you click the tab?
I see. It says create breakout room.
Oh, I wonder if it cleared them out when I made you the host. You might have to make them real quick. It'll take you 2 seconds. Sorry, okay. Everyone. It's technology.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Jimmy, I hate to do this, but you might.
This is definitely the wrong one, isn't it?
100%.
The right place.
You've got 3 instructors in one room.
That's right. I don't play any of those.
All right, headed back to the main one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Then click on somebody's name.
It looks like they're already in rooms, dude.
We have to like join the rooms, but like for instance, I got one that says you've invited me to join breakout room 1.
Yeah, I think you auto created them.
Okay.
Hey, we're gonna close all rooms real quick and redo it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No. Go, Jimmy, go.
Remember my first Zoom meeting.
You're doing great, guys.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
Somebody go get Wesley.
Exactly.
Hey, one other thing to bear in mind when you're doing this, if someone gets in a wrong room, it's hard to get them out and put them in another room. They almost have to go back out and back in again, just so you know.
Okay.
That's something that happens a lot for me anyway.
You guys are doing great. I'm just
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
We'll see.
I haven't done anything right yet.
I blame Nick for it. It's all.
Yeah. Thanks, Adley. I'm going to audit your class right now.
I got to wait.
This will be on the annual evaluation. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I got to wait a couple seconds for the rooms to close. It gives a countdown, and then it should let me. Here we go.
Christina Mitchell, can you hear me? How you doing, girl?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You popped up on my Facebook singing your solo a couple of weeks ago. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you liking being married?
Yeah, it has its perks. No, I'm just kidding.
Remember this, Southern Territory, not good enough.
It'll
Remember
never
that?
Yes.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. And I'm
Heather Goodyear, are you liking Oklahoma? Heather, you there?
I am sorry, I just had to unmute myself.
Are you liking Oklahoma?
Yeah. I do miss my mountains.
Mm-hmm. Mark doing all right?
Yeah, he's doing okay.
Good. The boys okay?
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
One of your boys just came my way.
Yeah, fix him, will you please?
Oh,
Fix
we're
him.
coming.
You got a lot of work to do though.
Fix him. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, so I think they're all created. Let me see if we can get them moved now.
This
Okay,
is definitely the hard part.
So if you go to like move to next to everybody, if they're already in the room,
Well,
then you
why
should be
Christina
able to.
doesn't have anything next to hers. Christina, what are you going to?
That's a thing. I know it's instrumental. So am I supposed to be here or not?
No, it's
No,
not
there's all
instrumental.
kinds of stuff. There's a worship leading.
Yeah, you registered for worship leader.
I don't see
Oh,
that
okay.
on here though.
So then that's right now, right?
Yeah, let me fix it one
I'm not.
Yeah, he's got to fix that real quick.
I'm not really a worship leader, so. And I'm listening. I'm just making dinner.
Yeah.
What's for dinner?
What are we having?
Yeah, what you got?
I'm making zuppa Toscana soup.
I made that yesterday.
I was gonna make it yesterday. I did.
Hey, I have a legit question that somebody asked me. I think it was in the masterclass, but when I asked this question, but is cereal soup?
No.
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 Yes.
Cereal is 100% soup.
Breakfast soup.
Is
I don't
Jared.
even know what to
Is he
think.
doing
Like,
base or is he doing
Or no, he's doing horn.
I think it could be soup.
I think the authority on what is a food is Jake Mitchell. He would tell us if it's soup or not. Jake, is cereal soup?
Who's worship leader?
It is definitely a soup. Also,
Yeah.
hot dogs.
Wrong answer.
Hot dogs are sandwiches.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
Hot dogs are
Oh,
Yeah.
you just deemed me as the end all be all of this
I've
food
withdrawn
sandwich
it.
thing.
I've taken it away.
You can't take it away now. I have the
You're
right.
wrong.
I mean, people often also say that Pop-Tarts are ravioli, so it's the same idea.
Ooh, breakfast ravioli.
What is wrong with this world?
I thought I already moved her. Why is she still up here?
We're sitting here talking about food. and
Trying
this
to kick
stuff's
you
trying to
out.
figure where to put anything.
Bye
Yeah.
guys. Bye guys.
No, but it's putting them.
Why am I going to electric?
Telling you, man.
Why am I going to acoustic?
Someone has me going to drums.
I'm not going to drums.
I'm going to say not now.
I'm getting you fixed. Don't worry.
Not
I was
now.
put in the acoustic.
Logan, just put everybody in a random number generator, and whichever class we get.
It did. It automatically. We had a wrong button that put everybody into
Andy
strange
got locked
rooms.
down.
Troy Mitchell, how you doing?
Leader.
I am doing fine.
Who's playing that?
Good. You got one son out of the house. You just need another one gone. That's my boy Anthony. Don't practice more than 8 hours a day, all right?
Well, I'm trying my best. I can practice here in my apartment, which is actually kind of nice. I'm pretty sure my neighbors hate me, but
is it cold up there?
It's starting to get cold. Yeah.
Are the leaves turning? I bet it's beautiful, right?
Oh, it's lovely up here. Yeah.
They initially told him he had to practice on the roof.
Ooh.
Which he did for a day or two, but he said it was just not good. So
I tried the roof, and then I tried the basement, and then the basement just got really creepy. Started hearing sounds down there that I don't know. So I decided my room was the best bet, and so yeah, it's temporary until I can get into school. So
I'm going to need you to toss that New York Yankees cap out the window.
Yeah, quite right.
Oh man,
we're not talking about baseball on here,
Fine. Sorry,
Not a chance.
Sorry, Braves.
Oh dear.
Y'all do understand that Jimmy is the Braves curse, don't you?
Yeah, I was gonna
he started.
ask if Jimmy watched any of the games.
He did. He sure did. You know when he started watching? The moment the Braves started to lose.
Right at the end.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
He checked the score and he was just like, "Oh, we're up 3-1. I should be fine." No.
What is
Wrong.
Jake talking about with that Astros sign behind him?
Hey, this is vintage. Okay, let me be honest. It was given to me, so I had to put it up.
Looking for horns?
No, I'm looking for. Oh, there's horns now, but where's the drums one?
Toby Gillum, I saw a video of you playing a brass band arrangement, and every chair was a Toby Gillum.
That is correct.
It was very good, very clever how you did
Thank
that.
you.
Every core needs a Toby Gillum. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But only one. You only need one.
And you've got a band. You did pretty good on that cornet. I thought this is going to be the one.
Well, thanks.
Glad.
Josh, at TMI, we did not have nearly this many people, I think, in our track initially.
That's right.
Let's see. We're almost
Marcy,
there.
I see you up there. You doing okay?
So, guys, if you're getting a notification to join a room, then make sure to go ahead and click that. We should all be moving out here at some point.
How many do you have left?
Marcy, you're a grandmother. How do you feel about that?
I'm a Gigi though. That's different. That's a young grandmother.
Oh, gotcha.
Now the grandma on the other side, she's Filipino, and she didn't want to be called abuela because in the Philippines that's granny, and she's too young to be a granny.
Yeah.
So we both avoided that.
Heather's a beautiful baby, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. He distracts me from all the rest of life. I never thought that would happen. Like,
Hey, I'm seeing a Shane Mills. Shane, if you can go ahead and rename yourself, or just pop up and tell me which room you're wanting to be in, so I can get you in the right spot.
Yeah, you got it. I'm here. I'm Shane.
Hey, Shane, good to see you.
I put in for hi. Good to be seen. I'm kind of way over on the west from you guys. I kind of feel like I'm almost on another continent. I put in for worship leader.
Okay.
Is what I put in for, I
we'll get you
believe.
placed.
I don't know if it's the vocalist aspect, but I do the vocals and play acoustic guitar at the same time. So I just kind of figured it would be a good fit.
I will put you in worship leader. All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Sorry this is taking us a minute to get sorted out. Friends, if you we should all be getting into rooms now. So check and see if you've got a notification asking you to join a room. I see not joined next to a few of these. So I think that means that you.
Hey, sir.
Hello. How you doing?
Doing good.
I know we have a couple others coming.
Good.
There's one. Hey. How you doing?
All right. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Toby, did you join every group?
Yeah.
It's going to freak me out if I find out tomorrow that you are also in the electric guitar group at the same time or the drums group at the
Oh,
same
yeah.
time.
I have them all right here on a separate device.
That's it. You got all these devices going. That'd be awesome. Do you play guitar?
Slightly. Some on bass.
Slightly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know there's at least one more coming. So we'll just give just another minute and then we'll get going. But just to let you know, there's going to be I have some things in mind, but there's going to be a bunch of I'm going to want to know from you guys, what it is that you're interested in, you're curious about when it comes to keyboard. So if you start thinking about that now, and then there's a couple basic things that I'll cover, and then we'll hear from you guys and talk about it and see what we can do. So, but I know there's at least one more.
Are you going to tell us what these black keys do, or?
Okay. Never under any circumstance press a black key.
This isn't euphonium?
That's right.
Where's the fourth valve?
And I'm realizing that it's the camera angle that makes it look like I have 2 keyboards set up, but that one is not actually set up. It's just sitting on the. I'm not doing this tonight. So. All right. Well, I'll give it literally 1 more minute. I saw at least one other person that had keys in their name. So.
I think her name was Marcy.
Yeah, Marcy.
Her name is Alicia. Keys. She had keys in her name, Alicia.
Right.
Never mind. All right. It's getting late. Sorry.
Which also means no one. Cool. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and get started. And if anybody else joins, then we can just go ahead and just catch them up. So, great. Well, we're going to talk about keyboard for the next, I guess, 45 minutes or so. So let me just start off by asking, because I know both of you, but I don't know if I could really just say off the top of my head. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hey, Marcy.
Got it. That was a big jump.
All right. Welcome. Glad you're here. I was just telling the other guys my plan for this evening. I have a couple things. I'm going to start off with a question, but then I have a couple things that I want to just kind of cover. But then most of the evening we'll kind of go to any questions or things that you guys want to look at. So if you just start thinking about what that may be. But so what I was saying is, well, I know both of these gentlemen. Marcy, hi, I'm Joel. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
And but so what I was saying is, the two guys, I know you, but I don't really know if I could say off the top of my head what your keyboard skills are. So where would you kind of say that your abilities lie currently? From I play two fingers at a time and I work my way through it, or I'm just comfortable to sit down as long as it's a song I already know.
I'll go. Right now, I'm able to read a lead sheet pretty proficiently. Any key. So
good.
Yeah.
I'm a lead sheet or chord chart player. Limited keys. Can play most keys if I'm not having to lead also.
Right. And Marcy?
Yeah, pretty. Hold on.
Marcy's a pro.
What? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't having a block around my frame around my picture, so I couldn't tell. No, I'm not a pro. I took piano for about 7 years, but I only really retained about 3 years of that because it kept starting over, and I was just a bit of a child and didn't like to practice, and I still don't. But so that gives me some limitations when it comes to really working from some more difficult music.
Okay.
So I try not to ever offer myself to do that unless I'm like the last option. But my dad, on the other hand, he's a pro.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
still is. He's almost 80 and he's still recording music and still writing songs and
All right.
what have you. But I wasn't blessed quite that way. So
Well, it gives us somewhere to work from. I will say this class is tougher when people say, "Oh yeah, I'm a brand new beginner," and I'm like, "This is going to be tough." But so it gives us a good place to start from. Basically, the main thing that I want to talk about is about style, and style is going to have less to do with ability level because style can be pared down or pushed up to any ability level, and there's going to be a little bit of like actual theory knowledge that I have to talk about, but it sounds like, if you guys read a lead sheet or a chord chart where you have to already know what a chord means in your mind already, then that's not going to be a problem for what we're talking about. So I want to start with a simple song like I Love You, Lord. And I'm going to do it in the key of F for right now. If we're doing that, the way that we might first learn it would be very basic chords. So our 1, 4, 5 type thing. That's going to get us through. If that's what you can do, most core are going to be happy to have you. Like, just the reality. If that's all you got in your wheelhouse, most core are going to be like, great, excellent, we're so glad you're here. But for style, the one thing that I would say is the easiest thing to add some character are going to be additional notes or suspensions. So instead of just an F chord, you can add the ninth or the second, depending on which way you think about it. It's the same note. But adding a G to the F chord, that G in there just adds that little bit of color. And then what I was saying, suspensions, it's that G again down to F. So just those little additions. And then the other thing, I don't know if you noticed it by seeing my hand, is I'm not moving my hands all up and down the keys. I'm just rolling the notes that are already under my fingers. This little motion here, I'm going to tilt this down a little bit. This little motion here in the left hand does a lot for you. It just fills it out without you having to do a lot of extra work. Just rolling up and down is going to do a ton for you. And those are some of the really simple things that you can do just for style to give you some real character there. So just to recap, I was saying additional notes like ninths. You can even add sevenths depending on the songs, but that's starting to get a little bit more difficult. But so we go from this. Useful, but then just that little bit extra. I'm not trying to move my hands around, not trying to do too much extra work, just trying to make it as underneath of my hands already as I can. Your phone buzzing or something. So that's the one thing about style. The other thing about style is like the other thing is like what I was just doing, and I was playing the tune in at the top always in my right hand. I always was playing the tune. The other thing that can help a lot is if you have a strong singer or you have somebody like if you're not having to cover the melody yourself on the piano, then completely stay away from it. If you don't have to play it, if it's being covered somewhere else, then let it be covered somewhere else. So if I was going to do the same thing and there's somebody singing, we all know the tune so we can imagine it. I'm not playing the tune at all because we don't need it. If somebody's singing it, all of a sudden that need to have it in the right hand goes away. And it sounded like I was doing a bunch there, but I was doing the same idea, just arpeggiating the chord already underneath my right hand. But because you're changing chords, it sounds like a lot. I'm not actually even adding any notes that aren't in the chord. I'm just arpeggiating what's already there. And if you do that in rhythm, you can't go wrong because the note is going to sound right. There's no way it'll be wrong because it's the note that's in the chord. If you start adding more than that, then it starts to become more of a, okay, how do I make it fit and things like that. So that's just really a basic covering of style, just to add a little bit of color and flavor to songs without having to do a ton of extra work. Now, the sky's the limit on that. You can go, I mean, really as far as you feel comfortable and, again, is appropriate for the setting. If I'm at a Sunday morning in a small church where I'm the only musician, I'm not going to get super crazy. But if I'm playing with a gospel group and it's a full band and it's, a few hundred people there, then all of a sudden I've got a lot more that I can play around with. So setting matters. And I think erring on the side in a worship setting, err on the side of too simple. It's always better for it to be a little bit less than what you could have done than for it to be too much than was appropriate. And that's just something that you just feel out with time, and sometimes by making the mistake. So you make the mistake and people will let you know. All right, well, that's a little bit of basics that I wanted to cover just to get you guys a little bit comfortable and settled in and maybe spark something. But let's go ahead into what you guys are looking for. Anything that you guys want to cover over the next 35 minutes that we have?
I don't, if you were watching last night, the transmission breakout, there were, I don't know, like in the comments, they were talking about, there are no keys players, the importance of, yeah, I understand, like, if there's like not an acoustic guitar, or electric guitar, but how important if you have electric, acoustic and keys. I know range is important, but how important is the keys?
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the style that you're going for, but the broad answer is just remember everything that's included is a pie. So if you just have an acoustic guitar player, then they've got to do everything. If you've got just a piano player, then they have to do everything. But if you have an acoustic guitar player and a piano player, they're splitting it 50-50. There's only so much of the pie that can happen. Same thing when you start adding more. When you have bass, drums, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, horns, the more stuff that you start adding, the smaller the piece of the pie is that the keyboard player needs to actually cover. And the smaller the piece of the smaller the piece of the pie is that would be appropriate to cover. So
and we get the smallest piece, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, sometimes it feels like that. But that actually comes down to, like, when I get to play with transmission, I actually sometimes feel like I get to do more, but it's very different than what I would do if I was playing by myself. If I'm playing by myself, I'm having to really flesh things out. So to use the example of What a Beautiful Name, if I'm playing by myself, I'm having to cover the bass, I'm having to cover the rhythm, and any other stuff that I want. So it would be like... I'm having to cover it all myself. And actually, so it means my right hand is actually very contained right in the middle. The left hand's giving us the bass and a little bit of filling. The right hand is giving us that rhythm, what would be the acoustic guitar. But if I'm playing with a full band already and I don't have to worry about covering the bass or maintaining the rhythm, then all of a sudden I'm free to start doing more fill type stuff. All of a sudden I get free to play what I want to play, and because I'm not having to cover the rhythm, I'm not having to cover the middle section of the keyboard because the acoustic guitar lives there. I'm not having to cover the bass because bass guitar's got that covered. So it's still a smaller piece of the pie, but actually that smaller piece of the pie gives us more freedom. It's kind of like a lead guitar player. All of a sudden, they can start adding stuff on top. We get that same thing, not in a competing way with the lead guitar player. You have to make sure you talk that out, but in that freedom way, especially when you're playing just piano, it becomes this color where whatever you do on top of it, it's going to sound good. If you're playing more keys where you're doing pads or synths or things like that, then that's going to change the nature of it altogether. At that point, then you're going to do much more like, you're going to do much more, come on, just sustain. because more than that just would get too busy. And most of the time pads are meant to move slowly and things like that. So I know that was a long roundabout way, but hopefully that answered some of your question. Keys, when you have keys and when you have it, like even if it's just doing this, back to What a Beautiful Name, even if it's just a keyboard player doing this, that's going to add a different color to what the acoustic guitar is doing. So if that's all that the piano player has the ability to do, it's still going to add. It's still going to do something. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah. So I see it as like a different type of color.
Yeah.
In the.
Yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense to have it. If it all sounded the same, then it's just like having a worship band of 6 acoustic guitars. Like there's no point to that.
You tend to live up in the upper octaves a little bit more too. Is that correct? I mean,
yes,
generally.
As much as possible. Like again, when I'm with a band,
with a full band,
I try to stay higher up because the acoustic guitar lives in these 2 octaves right here.
Right.
Technically down to here, but that's just the bottom string. So really, they live right here in the middle. And so I tend to go up here where they're not hanging out, just so that it's going to come through. It's going to be that nice shiny thing on top. So, and it's always good to have models for what you want your keyboard playing to sound like. At different points in my life, I've had different models. Some of them have lasted longer. Some will never go away, but always having a model for what you want to sound like. The number one model for me is a guy named Bruce Hornsby. And if you don't know him, check him out. So he's got some, piano player on some of his own great songs, but other songs like Bonnie Raitt's I Can't Make You Love Me, that's Bruce Hornsby. And if I could sound like one piano player, that would be who I wanted to sound like. But I've always had different models too. Growing up, I was listening to Billy Joel, and he really influenced a lot of how I play keyboard. But then people that I actually know, so like Phil Legger was a huge model for me, listening to recordings, but then actually getting to work with him and do coachings with him. Always having these models of people that you're trying to imitate, and literally imitate. Like I remember using Phil as the example, sitting with the recording and with a chord chart in front of me, listening to what he was doing and saying, okay, how is he doing this? And trying to note for note do what he was doing. Same with
Come see the softer side of Sears.
Yeah, that's right. So, but literally at first it was note for note imitation. It was, how can I sit down and copy exactly what he's doing? And when you have a chord chart in front of you, that makes it easier because then you're not having to figure out the chords. So you're literally figuring out, okay, what is the melodic shape that he's doing? What are his hands doing? What things like that. But then once you've done enough of that direct imitation, you've actually trained yourself. You've trained a lot of muscle memory and things like that to help you start to do that kind of stuff on your own. So there we go. Any other questions? We got plenty more time.
Sure. I've got one unless Marcy has one. No, you let me? All right. So for years, it's just been me a lot of times in chorus. And so I've gotten used to my own kind of style of, chord charting and singing along with it. So since I've been in this appointment, or especially since I've been in this area with Citadel, it's a full praise band. So trying to stay out of their way took me a long time to get used to that, staying in the right, range and stuff. Anyways, talking about styles, I love Counting Crows, one of my favorite groups, and I love a simple organ in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so nothing over the top, nothing hugely gospel, but just a little additive notes, which sometimes seems like it's maybe even just simple one note that they're holding or kind of moving. but I don't know how to imitate it that well. So I was curious if you give me a couple of little, seriously, like really quick tips on maybe easy things to do in organs. Like, do I need to live on 1-3? Do I need to live on, like, I don't know if there's any little methods to teach it.
Yeah. So 1 and 5 are your friends.
1-5. Okay.
1 and 5 are your friends because if you're in any given key, so I'm not on this. I don't really have an easy way to get to a good organ sample, so I'm going to do it on piano. But but 1 and 5 are your friends because if you're playing 1 and 5, I'm going to play in the key of D, playing 1 and 5 here. If I'm playing any chord, 1, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. So if you're doing that on organ, are you just mainly doing right hand, or are you still doing stuff underneath it too?
Yeah.
Or?
You can. Again, it depends how you're trying to fill it out. Your right hand is going to be the main thing, and it's 1 and 5, and you really are mostly living there. You can scoop into it with like a...
Okay.
But it's just going to be little things to kind of re-articulate it. If you want to, rather than just it being, I'm going to hold this for the whole song.
Right.
Which
is what I do a lot.
Yeah, that's what pads do that all the time, and they're useful if you have a way to set a pad where it's literally pad fade in and sustain the whole song.
Yeah.
If you have that, go for it. But
a lot of organ, you're just sticking in that 1-5 and little grace notes. You're sticking
right there, and you're staying out of the way. Now, if you are going to play the left hand, then you're just outlining the bass line. Because then that's reinforcing what the bass player is doing, and it adds a little bit of gravity without getting in the way.
Okay.
It actually gives the bass player still some room to improvise, and then the bass note still be held. So that is definitely an option if you're like me and you would get bored playing just one hand.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have options, and this is where if you want to use two hands but you want to get a little bit trickier is you're living around that 1 and 5, but depending on the chord, this is where you'd have to actually follow the chart. You have the ability to start adding things like adding the second, and you can sustain that. Or if we're going to the G chord, for example, you can move it to the G. So you're just adding, at that point you have 3 note chords, but 2 of those notes are always the 1 and the 5 of the key.
Okay. No, that helps me a lot.
Yeah.
I'll try that out.
Yeah. I heard that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, Joel, as far as the sound of the entire praise band together. So we have a bass player, sometimes acoustic lead, someone playing pads on a keyboard, and then myself and drums. Who determines what is too much? I don't necessarily mean volume, but all the parts.
Yeah. No, I agree. So there's 2 different ways of doing this. The first, and the one that I strongly suggest, is that there be somebody that is officially designated as the band leader. That band leader does not have to be the worship leader. At my core growing up, when I was in high school and college, my twin brother was the worship leader. He was the vocalist. He was the one out front leading the songs to the congregation, but I was the band leader. I was the one that ran our rehearsals. I was the one that got us through. I was the one saying, hey, in this spot we need more bass, or here we're going to go a cappella at this spot. Like, to have one designated band leader, particularly with the backing of the corps officer, is going to go a long way, because then it gives them that authority. Now they have to wield that appropriately, just like any other leader would. But to have one band leader gives one person that actually makes the final decision. Doing it with the input of the band and respectful of all the other band members is, again, also the appropriate way to do it. But that's my strong recommendation, because the other option is you have to do it by consensus. And so then you have to get your entire band to start talking through, and everybody gets their opinion and everybody gets their say. Again, a nice democratic way to do it, but in this instance, fully democratic way to do it is not the most effective way to do it.
Right. Sometimes I think it feels quite loud and sometimes chaotic. And I see that on the faces of worshipers sometimes, or those who are trying to participate. And our chapel is rather small for the number of instruments we have. And so just knowing when enough is enough and too much, we've gone too far.
Yep.
It seems like there needs to be someone outside of our group altogether. And on occasion, there'll be someone who's like, whoa, that, but we don't consistently have that. And consensus does not work for any of us.
For most people, it doesn't. Honestly, for most groups, it doesn't. It leads to tensions in the group. Even having the one leader can sometimes lead to tensions in the group, but sometimes they're tensions that are easier to resolve because then you're communicating to the group members, I understand that you're frustrated, but we've made the decision that this person's going to be in charge. And it gives that a little bit of gravity for people to know if you're going to be in this group, then ultimately this is the authority in the group that you have to respect. So that is my strong recommendation. On the other side of it, though, I'm a believer, especially when it comes to worship settings, that less is more. And less doesn't mean less instruments. Less doesn't mean that we pare it down to just an acoustic guitar and a singer. My praise bands, like when I do youth councils or things like that, I've got, actually starting this past year, I have a 6-person horn section. I've got all that stuff going. I've got usually 4 or 5 singers at a time. And because what that does is that gives you versatility. But not everybody on that up there is just playing full tilt all the time. That would be chaos. So instead, it becomes this thing. It's a hard thing. So like, even with vocalists, I'm still getting my core worship team to understand that we don't always have to have every singer singing all the time. So this is the same thing on the instrumental side, is we don't have to have every instrument playing all the time. We don't have to have every instrumentalist trying to show us their full abilities of what they can do on their instrument all the time. So often, especially in a band, again, like what you're talking about in a band setting, so often I find myself going back to What a Beautiful Name, sitting there and doing this. I'm not doing very much. It's these little color things, but it only works if the rest of the band's also doing that appropriately. You know, the kit is just doing a light rhythm or even just cymbal fills. The bass is just outlining the bass if they're even if they're even in at that point. The acoustic guitar, just, a light strumming rhythm. It has to work in balance. And yeah, less is more. Even when I'm doing these real gospel things, I'm still not going full tilt, except for in the rarest of instances. So,
Marcy, who leads your group? Like, I know Blake does the lead singing, but who do you lead rehearsals, or does Blake do that?
Yeah, I am the voice of wisdom that chimes in after usually, but I can't even. I can't tell what we sound like sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes it's like Sharon, who's at the soundboard, going, no, not good.
What
and
chord
she can do that. Rogers, okay. Arkansas. Yeah. So
Blake Robinson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love Blake. I mean, good guy.
He's great.
I take him in a core all day long.
Yeah. All day. Yeah. I would have too, man. Great. I don't think we always know what we sound like in the setting. Yeah. Like the band outgrew our chapel like 5 years ago, the way we play.
Yeah.
And there's not too much we can do about that right now. But
yeah, it's hard, especially if you have drums, and I'm guessing they're acoustic drums.
And a tile floor, yeah.
Yeah, because even if you have an acoustic drummer playing with like hot rods or whatever, you still have to balance all the rest of the instruments and the vocalists to be heard above those drums, which if it's a small space, trust me, we have that same problem. My chapel at my core is not very big. And we've got Caleb Thornhill, who's a phenomenal drummer. But like, it's the same thing as, it gets a little. Ours is really just volume, because fortunately I've got people like myself and Caleb who know how to play in that pocket, in that zone. But yeah, even the volume thing can be a concern. I understand.
Yeah, we are getting the screen. I've forgotten the terminology.
Fishbowl.
Yeah.
Cage.
Yes, the cage. Yes.
Yes.
For Joey, the drummer, and so that will hopefully be helpful. But I think because of the size, we are a bit impaired on what we really are sounding like to everyone, and that's probably, I notice it, I'm more concerned by it because I'm actually connecting with the eyes of people out in the audience and the congregation while they're worshiping, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm heard, I do care if they're connecting with the worship.
No, I understand.
So,
I had a core growing up that was fortunately very gracious. My core, when I was a teenager, did not have a praise band when we got there, and so at around 13 years old, me and my brother and our corps officer son started. We asked if we could do some contemporary music, and so my twin brother played drums and I played keys and sang, and our corps officer son played bass guitar, and it was a nightmare. It really was not good. All three of us were decent musicians, but we were, 13, 14 years old. So even decent for 13, 14, still not great. And we were all playing not our main instruments and just figuring it out. So I know exactly the look that you're talking about because my corps suffered 3 years of it. The advantage was when we came out on the other side, as all of us developed and grew and got older, added new members and things like that, then it turned into actually quite a fine worship team. But yeah, so those faces, and it's important, and the fact that you're reacting to that and recognizing that in the congregation. Yeah, I really suggest that somebody be really identified as the band leader, so that way they have the authority to say, we need to chill this out. So
I think Toby faces the same thing. I know Toby's angst in Tulsa is kind of the same thing where everybody tends to play on top of each other, and that's why he asked his question earlier. So, yeah, it's a common thing, I think, in a lot of praise
common
bands,
thing. And the guitar players think that it's always them because they're standing in the front.
Well, something we've come across is a lot of stage noise. So we've had to go direct with a lot of things, and it's helped a lot. And we have monitors and so stage noise also.
Taking the control away from the instrumentalists does a lot. It does so much. When the electric guitar player can't blast his amp because he can't hear himself, that does so much good. But I know keyboard players. Like I had an instance of a keyboard player, same thing. They just turned their own amp up way too often, all the time, and I had to say to them time and time again, it's too loud. So I understand. It sometimes is. Well, we got more time. Anything else about playing, about structure, about anything? All right. Well, I have one other thing to talk about, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. I talked a little bit about style at the beginning, about adding ninths and things like that. One of the other things that you can do as you feel more comfortable is starting to find ways to link chords together. There are so many different ways to link chords together, but finding ones that you feel comfortable with and sound good to you, and it's a matter of experimentation, honestly. So if I'm playing, I'm going to go to the key of G. So if I'm playing there, if I need to go from the 4/5, when I want to go to the 6 chord, I might not just go straight there. I might not go straight to the E minor. I might go there with my left hand, but the right hand I'll stay on the D chord for a second, and I'll do like this scoop thing. So. That little moment just adds a lot of color. And that's one thing that's actually tougher for guitar players to do. So that's one of those moments where we get to cut through the texture a little bit. And it's the same thing. If I'm coming down to like a C chord, I hit that F sharp when I hit the C. F sharp is clearly not in a C chord, but it did the F sharp C thing, and it just gives that little bit of color. And it just links things together a little bit. And these are those moments where we just come through the texture without having to slam our hands down on the keys. And the last thing, while I'm thinking about it, because it just popped in my head, is playing for prayer time or anything like that, where it starts to come down and be softer. Conventional wisdom, at least when I was younger, is you figure out whatever tune it is and you just play it either softly or softly and up an octave, blah, 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 and it gets out of the way. Somewhat true. Say it's like I Surrender All. That works. And I do use tunes a lot when I'm playing for prayer time, because tunes evoke words which evoke a meaning. But sometimes if I'm playing what is literally an underscoring, if somebody's still speaking, to give an altar call, or if I'm playing during an actual prayer, during prayer time or something like that, I'll find a chord progression, just make one up. Because once you're playing in a key, you know what chords go in the key. And making a simple one, there are a lot of times where I will, I think on this past Sunday, I never remember them because that's not the point. But the idea is just, I'm playing in the key of C right now. I'm just playing an F chord and then now a C chord. And it's just these two chords, and it's just steady, back to the F chord with the G in it a lot. There's your 1 and 5, Nick, that we were talking about. And then I just live right there. I could play like this for half an hour. And it's one of those things, like, if they start to increase in their intensity, then you have the ability to just come up underneath them to support what they're doing. But then you can bring it right back down. And just the simplicity of that means most of the congregation stops remembering that you're even playing. You're not calling attention to yourself. Even when you get louder or fuller or things like that, it's not, oh, listen to the cool thing the piano just did. It's creating this emotional swell underneath whoever's praying or things like that. Without
You're like me. I'm singing the song and not praying. So
exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just better to just pick 2 chords or pick 3 chords and just stick with that. And it becomes almost an exercise. How can I make these 2 chords interesting to myself to play for however long it's going to be? Sunday night, I was at Trevecca for their young adult thing, and they had a prayer time where they went to different prayer stations. And it really was like 15 minutes long where I'm playing. I did throw a song in there here and occasionally, but then I would come right back to just doing these 2 chord things for a long time. So yeah, that's one of the things that's really helpful to me, that I really only realized that I was doing in the last year or so.
I love to live on the 4 and 5 chords back to back.
Oh yeah,
Those
just
are my
back and forth,
favorites.
up and down.
And then finally resolve it to the 1,
Yep.
at the end of the prayer or something. I
Yep.
love 4 and 5.
I like doing it where if I'm going to play the 1 chord, I never put it in first inversion. I'll always play it in an inversion. So I'll do like 4, 5, 1, but first inversion. So it never settles, even though you played the 1 chord.
Yeah.
It never settled. But yeah, it's the same thing. Just to keep the it keeps momentum moving. It never feels like, oh, this is it, and I'd restart it. It always feels like we're just keeping it rolling. So, yeah.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
Yeah, no, and it's great that it's great that this isn't brand new information to you. If it's affirming what you're already doing, excellent. If it is brand new information to you, then this is hopefully going to make your life easier. So cool. All right. Anything else? We still got a little bit more time.
Let's see, what are the newest 1 or 2 or 3 courses, songs, contemporary worship pieces that are being done right now? Because sometimes we'll get in 2 different ruts. We'll get in a rut of singing the same old stuff that we learned 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get in the rut of doing something new all the time.
Yep.
And so people can't kind of get their emotions, their mind into it.
Yep.
So tell us what's going right now. What style do we need to be using in song choice and all of that?
So I might have a different answer than you expect, or if you weren't expecting a particular answer, my answer may intrigue you. I have my song select open, so I'm gonna share my screen with you. So you won't really see me, but then wait, where is it? Hold on. Let me share screen. There we go, share screen. Okay, so I'm gonna open song select here. Can you guys see that now?
Yep.
Okay, so I am not a believer in always doing the latest and greatest. Sometimes it's just, if you do that, you're adding too much new stuff. Your congregation can't keep up. Other times it's because sometimes the latest and greatest either are not theologically that great, or they're not really that great to sing. People hear them on Christian radio and think this song is great, but it's not really suitable to congregational singing. So I'm not the ones that's latest and greatest. So looking at this screen right here, these popular songs right here. Waymaker, I love it. I do use it. Goodness of God, I use a lot. This is actually one of my favorite newest ones. The Blessing, I've used it a couple times. It's just, if you do the full version, it's just, for like 30 minutes long. Graves into Gardens. It's one of those songs. I really like it. Not really sure that it's going to be the most appropriate all the time, especially in smaller congregation. It's just stylistically not really easy for congregations to sing. So that's one of the things for me. I am a huge proponent of Keith and Kristen Getty. Their modern day hymns are so useful, and they are all so theologically rich. So they're now, these are my favorite songs on here. This is my divisional one, so it's not just what I use in my core. But I believe in my core, we actually have a pretty narrow set of songs. We have like a list of like 30 songs that we've used for like the last year. Maybe 40 songs that we've used for like the last year, just interspersed. Because what you were saying, if you have too many songs, your congregation can't keep up. Let them dig into some of these songs, and you'll find which ones just don't reach your congregation after you try it 2 or 3 times and it just has not done anything, or people will outright say to you, I'm not sure about that one, then maybe retire it. But I try not to add too much too often. Another one I really love is Hallelujah Here Below, if you don't know that one. And then what I was saying about Getty, you'll see there's a couple Getty ones on here. But one of my other ones somehow didn't make it on my favorites list, but The Lord Is My Salvation. Do you guys know that one?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's one you're going to want to check out. So, The Lord is My Salvation. This one, highly, highly, highly recommended. And it's one of those ones where when you hear it, people feel like they've known this song their entire life. So the chorus, who is like the Lord our God, strong to save, faithful in love. My debt is paid and the victory won. The Lord is my salvation. It's one super easy for the congregation to latch onto. They feel like they've known it their whole life. It sounds like a Disney movie. So things like that. Now, how do I find these songs? Well, I mean, I do a fair amount of listening. And there are certain artists that I do listen to when they have a new album come out. I know that I'm going to go listen to that album like 3 or 4 times just to see if any of those songs pop out and reach me. But other times it's just from, what I hear at events or what I sing when I go visit another church or what I know my friends are doing. Like these days, so many people are posting videos online just saying, oh, I didn't know that song, and I go check it out and things like that. So just always keeping your ears open to new stuff. But sometimes you have to go find it. And the people that I really trust to go after from a theological standpoint, I trust to go searching for Keith and Kristen Getty songs. They also work with Stuart Townend, who wrote How Deep the Father's Love for Us. So, I really theologically will always go towards them. Musically, whenever Elevation has a new album out, I will check it out. They're one of the ones where sometimes theologically I'm like, but musically, I will always check them out. Hillsong, even more, have to be careful with the theology, but when they get it right, when they just do straight scripture, those songs are always fantastic. So yeah, I have my go-tos that I just always check out.
I got a question.
Yep.
Oh, like any of you, are you guys familiar with Planning Center? Any?
Yep. We use it at my core every Sunday. I will pull it up for you. But was there more to your question?
We're thinking about getting it for our core, and I'm just curious on all the aspects about it.
Yes, I highly recommend it. It has made everything so much easier for us from an organizational standpoint. I'm going to, again, share my screen so you can see. All right, so it's great. The way we use it, so for example, this one's coming up. This is this Sunday, and we have our entire meeting. Oh, wait, let me switch to the new view. Our entire meeting is all right here, including all the songs, the key that it's in. The charts are actually attached. When we start with a video, the video itself is attached. If I open the file, media, the video itself is right there. So, I planned this whole meeting. Like I actually planned this whole meeting, and the person who does all of our slides can go in and see the meeting and create the slides from there without me having to email him something. The people that are in the band, actually the really cool thing is they have an app called Music Stand that when you open the Music Stand app and you open the week that you're assigned to, it has actually all of the songs already set in a playlist in the key that you're going to do it in, and you can use it right there on your tablet or your phone or whatever. So we don't use any paper copies anymore at my core. Everything is all done through tablet, through Planning Center, because we can all just open it and have it and ready to go. So yeah, we use it a lot. You'll see on the left, we actually have all of our people assigned to their different roles and what they're going to do. So yeah, we use it for every Sunday. If you look at matrix here.
You let that guy play acoustic, man.
I know, right?
Y'all are desperate.
But so, this October 25th is the last one that we actually have planned, but it'll actually pull up all the, all of this, who's doing what is the outline for the meetings and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's so good. Really recommend it. And if your core is willing, it's not that expensive. And if your core is willing to do it, it really helps a lot.
Is Song Select intertwined in that, or
It
not?
is. Now you have to have your own Song Select subscription, but the way Song Select comes in really handy is if you go to add a new song in Planning Center, it'll automatically populate it with the lyrics and the chord chart, not the lead sheet, but the lyrics and the chord chart for your selected key for any song that is in Song Select. So, if we were in a last minute needed to add a new song on a Sunday morning, which we make sure never happens, but if we were in that situation, I could add a new song to Planning Center without having to separately go to Song Select, and it would populate a chord chart, and our praise band would all get that on their Music Stand app all within a couple minutes. So the future.
When
So
you guys
no more
rehearse-
Fourscore?
Well, I use Fourscore. I still use it a ton, just not for my Sunday morning meetings.
Not for Sunday morning. Sorry, Toby. Go ahead.
You're fine. When do you guys rehearse?
We rehearse on
Is it
Wednesday
during the-
nights. That is a new thing. So our brass band rehearses at 7 on Wednesday nights, and our praise band rehearses at 7:45 until about 8:30 on Wednesday nights. And then that's new. That's actually only like the last 3 months. It was 9 o'clock on Sunday morning before Sunday school, and it aggravated me to no end. But we got new officers this year who were finally willing to say, yeah, why are we doing this? And we changed it to Wednesday nights. So the thing about just to talk about why it aggravated me, one, it meant I had to be there at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. Just honestly. Two, it meant that we were throwing the songs together 2 hours before we were going to do them. And three, it meant that people didn't really have to have any commitment beyond just showing up on Sunday morning. And if you're going to be leading people in worship, I expect a little bit more commitment than just showing up on Sunday morning. So even though it's just one more night a week and it's only 45 minutes, what that does is it shows that people are going to be committed, and it shows that we're going to put in the effort. Because when you finish rehearsal on Wednesday night, it may not be 100% perfect and polished, but it gives people 3 more days to brush up on the little things that they don't quite feel comfortable with yet. And then they show up on Sunday morning, and it's even better than the way you left it Wednesday night, if you have the right people in your group. So.
Good to know, because we just switched our nights as well. We did the Sunday morning thing, but now we're right after band
Yep.
practice. So,
and it's the way to do it, because in most cases, most of the people in your praise band are also in your brass band rehearsal, so they're going to be there. Not all, but most. So they're already there. Just stay a little later and get it done. Cool. Well, any more questions before we go? I know we're actually overtime, but this is great. I'm not in a hurry to leave, so I don't want you to leave not asking a question. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Marcy, it was great to meet you. Hopefully I'll see you sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Nick and Toby, it's good to see you guys again. Hopefully it's not too long before we actually get to see each other in person again.
See each other again. Yeah.
But no, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for, really engaging. This is better than me just having to come up with stuff to fill the time for an hour. So hopefully you are walking away with something, and feel free to reach out if you have any more follow-up questions about anything, whether it's music selection, managing the band, practical things about playing keyboard itself, whatever it is, feel free to reach out. And if I'll do my best to answer. And if I don't have an answer, I'll try to point you to who can help.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Doctor.
Well, of course. Thank you all. Take care.
Be safe, guys.
Yeah. Bye.